Hi friend, and welcome back to Marvelous Friends, your home for all things Marvel Cinematic Universe and beyond. I'm Rhett, and today I am still talking about Jessica Jones Season 3, so let's jump on to Episode 9. Roll that credit. Jessica and Trish are now laying low after Trish's rampage the night before. Jessica helping Trish by bathing off all the blood and kind of disposing of the biological evidence, including kind of helping clean the skin and flesh out from underneath Trish's fingernails. So maybe Trish does have razor claws. I am so confused by her powers. Costa calls in to let Jessica know that Salinger is stable but is currently still sedated. Jessica, of course, is concerned that once he comes to, that he will reveal who Trish actually is, and that will cause so much more problems, so she heads off to confront him on this. Luckily, though, Salinger says he is not going to reveal who Trish actually is. Jerry, though, does land in front of a press conference after these events and once again talks about how diligently she is going to work to unmask this mysterious vigilante. Jerry then becomes that nice person she so much is by cornering Kith at work at the university. Here she confronts Kith, saying that she needs to hire her as her attorney in the lawsuit with the Foundation. Here she does admit what she did to Peter and seems remorseful for it, not wanting to have hurt Kith in the process. This actually helps convince Kith to hire Jerry as her lawyer, saying that she's going to take advantage of this moment of weakness as it's usually the other way around. Malcolm, however, is officially done with Jerry, turning his resignation in along with the undoctored footage, saying that he was the one that doctored it in the first place, covering up for Kaya. While he turns this in and says he quits, Jerry immediately also says at the same time, "You're fired." Malcolm, though, good for you. I'm glad that you got out of there. This only means much better things for your character and its final standing on that whole morality scale that we talked so much about. However, this could be a potential problem for Kaya, as that nice lady threatened Kaya's position within the law firm because you're quitting. Eric promptly shows up, apologizing for not willing to help earlier with all the heroics by confessing to the kidnapping by Salinger. He, though, of course, is remorseful and wants to help however he can now, which is handy timing because Jessica needs help trying to assist Salinger. Yes, we've come to that part in the Jessica Jones season where Jessica inevitably helps the bad guy to get to the end of the season. It's a little bit of a crutch in these things, but I get it. There's a theme we need to kind of beat into the ground here, and that is sometimes you have to do bad things for good reasons. When confronting Salinger earlier in the episode, he promised not to release the information as long as Jessica helped him destroy the evidence that linked him to Nathan's body, as we have learned that there were a couple hairs found on Nathan's body that were not identifiably Nathan's. And so Jessica now has to find a way into the coroner's office to dispose of said evidence. Luckily, Eric knows a guy, a dirty cop, who thinks that he can get him in, so the two of them meet up with the officer later that night. Officer Nussbaumer is someone that was subject to the mind wave blackmailing of Eric long ago, an officer who has apparently killed a few drug dealers and then stole their money for profit as well as their goods, which he then later sold as well if he didn't use them himself. The two rustle him up a little bit to get him to agree, though Eric does reveal his face, which is ultimately, I think, going to be a bad deal because Officer Nussbaumer does say you shouldn't have showed yourself to me. Nussbaumer does agree to help, though, and tells the two to meet him at the end of his shift at the coroner's office. Here we actually do get a little bit of story on Eric, and that he did at one point try to be a hero. Back when he was first getting his powers as a kid, he sensed a darkness in his father, and it turns out that his father was subscribing to some one-on-one inappropriate father-daughter time with his sister. Now, Eric approached the father, pressuring him about it, and ultimately it did get him arrested and sent to prison. This caused the two's mother, though, to go into a spiral, and she then proceeded to kill herself by overdosing on pills. Again, people, suicide, never the answer. His sister then, of course, blamed him, as it was not his truth to tell. From that day forward, Eric decided to never try to do heroics again, as he realized that there was real consequences to those actions, and doing good does not always result in good. Instead, this is what led him down the path to using his ability to blackmail those who are wrong for self-profit. But hopefully here we are seeing a little bit of a change in him as we see him confessing this and being more willing to help Jessica moving forward. Meeting up with Nussbaumer later that night, Jessica does successfully sneak into the coroner's office. However, she sees Costa in there pulling a favor with the coroner to get the samples tested quickly. So Jessica causes a distraction, causing the two to leave the room, and while they're gone, sneaks in and blows the two samples of hair off of the magnifying glass plate, then setting up a desk fan to make it look like just a simple accident, sneaking back out. And it's a success, as Costa does call her the next day to let her know that there was an accident in the lab and the samples were lost, meaning there was no way to link Nathan and Salinger together. Jessica awakes the next morning to a new set of detectives at the door. These two here with a warrant to search her place. Initially, when I watched this transaction kind of go along, I thought this was clearly them trying to find evidence of her being linked to the Salinger attack. However, it turns out that Officer Nussbaumer was found dead, and they think that she is the prime suspect in his murder, having found her on his body cam footage the night he went missing. This being from when she riled him up a little bit to get him to help her into the coroner's office. Now, of course, Jessica, we know, is not the one who did it, but this does raise some concerns, as this does mean that there's one less person probably after Eric, but this also does mean there is some serious suspicion from myself, and I bet Jessica, on him and his involvement with Nussbaumer's death. I'm going to say it, I'm a little disappointed here with this episode. It turns out this whole idea of Jessica helping the bad guy is a serious crutch within the Jessica Jones series. Having her done it all 3 seasons. I mean, come on. It's just a little lazy to go back to this, in my opinion. Of course, in Season 1, she was under Kilgrave's control for quite some time, but there was a moment there, though very short, we found the influence slightly resurface, and she deal with that again in the main peak of the action of that season. Then in Season 2, she of course spent the back half of the season helping out her mother, who was a villain of that season, and now in Season 3, we see her help get Salinger off on the murder charges. I'm sure Trish, moving forward, is going to be very, very upset with this and continue something much, much worse, as we've kind of seen an escalation in her patterns every episode of getting a little bit more violent. Now, I also am going to say, though, that we will probably see Trish return to her moral high ground in relation to Jessica, something we know her well to have from the past 2 seasons, and kind of talking down to Jessica for doing this, even though she doesn't fully comprehend what this actually means and what a big help to her this was for Jessica having done this, and what a huge sacrifice Jessica made by doing this to help her. Again, something that Trish is going to be oblivious to, because she really does not understand everything that Jessica does and what it means to be a true hero. She just has this idolized version of what that is. What did you think, though, of this episode, and what did you think of Jessica helping Salinger, and again, you know, helping the bad guy in the plotline? Let me know your thoughts down in those comments. Now, we are kind of heading into the home stretch here with only 4 episodes left, so make sure to subscribe and set those alerts, because you don't want to miss a thing. Until then, though, I do love you all 3,000, and I hope you have a marvelous rest of your day. Bye, friend.